So what was yesterday about? Relationships, and specifically what in the relationship? That was part of it, but what can you control in the relationship? Amen. It's all about me. Me. So then we did a variety of skills, communication. What else did we do, skills-wise? Fab, what else? Active listening.
Body language.
Yep, body language. What else?
Parenting style.
Yep, so I'll put that over here because that's not a skill, but just a good place for you to be aware. Parenting style.
Controlling yourself, walking away.
Ooh, nice. So, yep, taking the crisis out, the broken record. Kids these days don't even know what a record is. The skipping CD. Probably don't even know what that is anymore. So, crisis, taking the crisis out, slowing down. Broken record. So, I want to just kind of emphasize the slowing down piece. They didn't do a super great job of yesterday, but the idea of timeouts. How many of you have used timeouts? So the adolescent version of timeout is go to your room, don't talk to me like that. Is that actually enforceable? No. The idea is like, with a timeout, the idea being like, you go over there and like calm yourself down, do your thing, and just chill out and then come back. But you have zero control over that. If you can even get them to go to their room, pat yourself on the back, because that's a huge win that you really shouldn't be able to pull off because you have zero control over that. However, timeouts are fabulous for you. So you guys take the timeouts. Rather than giving your kid, don't talk to me like that. Instead of doing that, it's like, hey, I can use this as an enforceable statement. Right now I'm feeling really overwhelmed. I'm gonna go take a timeout. You can enforce your timeout. You can't enforce giving somebody else a timeout. So if you're getting into that red zone, that red line, that's the time for you to take the timeout. Then what do you do? So what do you do to come out of your red zone?
Get out of the situation.
Yeah, but then what do you do?
Oh, when I'm out of the situation?
Yeah.
Just try to go through, rationalize why this is happening.
Okay, so you kind of make it an intellectual process.
Yeah.
Fantastic. What do you do?
Same thing.
Okay.
Sit there, think about it calmly, rationally, get out of the heated moment.
Great.
I don't usually time out.
Okay. So when you're in your red zone, when you're let's pretend you get hot every once in a while. When you're there, how do you get from red to yellow?
Breathe deep.
Okay.
Hold. Yeah. Just kind of walk away.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I guess I do.
I run away from home.
Great. Where do you go?
Greenville, Ohio, and get a little room at the bed and breakfast there, and that way I can, and for Alan, I'm sitting there going, you are coming home again, right? I will, I'll be home. Spend a couple days away.
Great.
Deep breathing.
Yeah. And so people will be like, I'll do yoga, I'll go work out, I'll go for a run, I'll go for a bike ride. I don't care what it is that you do, but I do want you to take the time away, but just the time in and itself doesn't really do anything. You have to actually kind of put some effort in to go from red to yellow. It can be a cognitive exercise, but it can also be the physical release. Just go do whatever. I don't care if somebody's like, yeah, go smoke 4 cigarettes. Great. I'm not looking for healthy right now. Have a drink. I don't care. Don't drink the bottle, but have one drink. Whatever it is, you have to go put in some effort. Now, you brought up this idea hey, I beat feet out of town and he's left with, are you coming back? So a very kind and loving way to do a timeout for yourself is giving them a time frame. Hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. I'm feeling emotionally flooded. I need to take time out. I'll be back in an hour. I'll be back in 2 hours. The time doesn't matter. You can even say, I'll be back in a day. And so what that does is it gives the receiver an anchor to know you're coming back. So that's a kind way of doing
2
it.
days or 3 days, that's a little excessive, right?
No, it's not excessive at all.
What'd you say, yes?
Yeah, it's not. But being, and even in your example, you brought up this idea, like if you just walk away, so this is not the broken record technique, because the broken record technique, I do want you to just walk away. But if you're kind of feeling flooded, it's like, hey, I can't take this right now, giving somebody that anchor is a kind way of engaging in the relationship. Because if you just walk out on somebody, if they have attachment issues, and there's arguable, like we all have some level of attachment issue, but they could be left of like, are you coming back? Which can then trigger their anxiety. So if you can give a time frame, hey, I'll be back in 2 days. I'm coming back in 2 days. That's totally fine. So if you can pull off the time frame, it's a more loving way to take the time out. And then sometimes you're just too hot and you can't. So when I say red zone, do you know what I'm talking about? How do you physiologically feel? What's going on for you physically?
I just kind of get, like, just, I think, I've never really thought about it in the moment, but like, just tense and just anger. I mean, I don't know how to describe anger. I just feel like I need to do something.
Okay, so I'm fascinated that when I asked you that question, with both hands, you came up to your head. So do you feel something in your head?
I don't think so. It's just more of a like, I think this is where I go and I'm going to yell. I'm like, wow, I can't believe you did this.
And so
I'm a handsy talker sometimes.
So what I want you to do though, and this is for everybody, I'm using you as the example though, is start to think about when you're in that moment, when you're ready to just feel what's going on in your body, because those are actually your markers of, hey, I can't open my mouth right now. So for me, my ears get bright red and they literally get hot. And so if I know I can feel my ears hot, I can't say anything anymore because I really don't give a shit what you feel. I'm just going to say whatever I want and I know it's going to hurt you. And so it's not good for me. And so the trick is identify how you feel physiologically in that moment, but then back up a second in kind of the process of going from green, like, hey, everything's smooth and easy, to yellow, to, all right, we're getting a little hot. What's going on for you physically in the yellow zone? Because at that point, you can still operate. You know, so for me, like, I get goosebumps on my arms or the hair on the back of my neck stands up. It's like, okay, I can still kind of operate, but I'm moving towards about to yell at somebody, really. So start to recognize, because those are your symptoms. Like, you'll start to feel that stuff, and it's like, ooh, like, I'm getting worked up now, and I need to stop, basically. All right? And that's for all of you. So just know your body. Know what's going on for you. When your emotional experience is getting jacked, your body's going to send you signals. You just got to know what they are. All right? So do some work there. Fair? All right. Questions on that? That whole slowing down, taking time out stuff, that's great. Like, I really do want you to kind of parent from the slowing. Like, life's not a crisis. Parenting is not a crisis. No matter how much you've been taught, parenting is not a crisis. It really isn't. You can kind of go slower. The slower you go, the more you can recognize how you feel. How do you feel?
Feel encouraged.
Excellent. Got fabulous over here.
We already discussed how I feel.
Fair enough. I think it was responsible. Is that right? So that's great. So a whole series of feelings.